I am going to show you what I have made so far. And then I'm going to really just try and focus on how to make the paper portion of cards and how to make a foam one. So there's two different ways that you can do it with Heartfelt. And so I can't wait to get things going. So first off, let me show you what we have. And then I can show you the products. This is coming from the swans. They're the feathery swans. So this one comes straight out of the book, and you use your die sets in order to get these beautiful things. And then it's part of the paper pack. So this is an inspiration, and I'm going to show you the other inspiration card to begin with, because these don't come with the set. This is an extra add-on bundle. So pretty. And when you do the feathery swan, it also means that you get two different types of calla lilies that are already pre-made into little into those little pieces. And I'll show it to you and point it out to you a little bit later as I get a little bit further along. And then this is using the actual calla lily set. Oop, I'll pull back just a little bit. There we go. So I used the paper pack. They've got tons of labels and in this pack. So I'm going to show you here really quick in just a moment. And then these are the calla lilies that you make with the die set, the molding, and the stamp set. And actually, I want to take that back. This paper actually comes out of the paper pad. So this one is available, but once your paper pad is gone, then it's gone. So you need to know how to be able to make them with the stamp sets so that they can still come out this exact same way. Okay. So first things first, let's see. What do I have on the things for first? Question. Do the dies cut these flowers in the paper pad? Yes, they match up exactly. So you have your dies that are here, and you have them, you can either use them with the stamp. So you'll print these off on your paper, and I'm going to show you that in just a moment. And they fit right inside that die. So you just run it through your die cutter, and it makes beautiful ones out of paper. The paper is a little bit thicker when you use the water, when you use their Heartfelt plain paper pad for using for flowers, and the thickness of it not only gives you that ability, but it's more fibrous. So when you spray it with a little bit of water, it really allows it to mold nicely. So I think that there's a place for both types, both in the pad. This is the fatter one that I told you that comes with the kit with swans. This one comes with the Swan Lake, and this one comes with the feathery swan. So if you look here, Swan Lake is also got two other calla lily styles, and the dies fit right into place over them. They've made these so that you can use them for color guidance, use them just to pop out, make it quick if you want to do something that's quick. I stamp first and then cut, because I really don't want to cut something after I've decided I really did that not right. What happens if I chose the wrong color choice? So I try and kind of think about it from that way, because my stamping is going to be the one thing that it's about color. So you want to get it right on and do it that makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so I've already gone ahead and I've put my stamp in here, and I've got my two leaves, and I'll probably do two more of these, and we'll just look at it a couple of different ways. But I did a lot of my items in our older prism shimmers because that's what I have currently, and I'm waiting to finish those up before I start digging into all of these lovely ones that we have from Graphic 45 and the Distress Oxide. So sometime I'm going to be getting these because I love the ones that I have. So hopefully it will be something that I can add into here very shortly. So I grabbed some of theirs. I don't know how well that's going to match to the ones that I have over here, but it really doesn't matter because we're starting from scratch. One thing that I noticed with the white ones specifically is that so we're going to ink these guys up. And it's been well, I did stamping the other day, and I think that we've done stamping a few times, but it's been a little while for the mats, so for the stamping platform. So I just want to remind you, you put your paper all the way into the corner, and then put your magnets on, and then you can line up your stamp wherever you want it to be. So that's the green. And in reality, that's kind of pretty close to what the white ones are in the sheets. So that's nice. I'm just going to clean it off. So for the leaves, I'm just going to do this in a little bit more of a subdued color. Yes, watercolor paper is a good way to do this. That's basically what this is, but it's a little bit, it's made to do with their molds. So that's something to kind of be aware of, is they created this paper to go with the way in which they create their flowers. And I'm just going to get it a little bit. Oh, and this is a thicker rubber stamp. So you want to make sure that you are, when you do this, you just want to make sure that you take your little foam piece out of this platform if you have this one at home. So I have quite a few of my leaves still left over, so I'm not going to make any more leaves because the premise is the same no matter what you do. Oh, I kind of lied. So I have this little guy, and this is foam. It came in a mint color, and I've already run it through the contouring machine. But I do want to just add some stem to him, or some veining to him, because just leaving it as regular foam, I was not liking how that looked. And so I decided, and I hemmed and hawed around at it, and I have settled on the fact that I think that I would like it better if I stamp it. I don't feel the need to stamp the lily pieces. You can ink them up, and then do it again.
That's the lid.
Wrong one. Hey, I at least entertain. And this would have been 10 times easier to do on a piece that wasn't already done. So I would encourage you to try that. I don't know if you can see it very well, but the lines are definitely there. And so it's got the veining. I think the sun shines in its way sometimes. And since it's already over here, might as well use it, right?
You bet.
No reason to make it change that up. And I don't think that I can fit it in there now. It is
like under
probably
the
like under the, usually they just stick to the bottom of the platform. This one, I'm going to bring in some darker colors, and I'm also going to add a little bit of this at the base. So for the paper ones, I went through with my little tiny green one that I had of this color at home. And I went through and I just took the tip of the flower, and you can see it on these. It was already green when you look at it in the paper pack. So I just took, and in order to give it that definition a little bit more, I just went through and I tapped in the green in the corners and lines. And so it just accentuated that green at the bottom. And then you can always rub a little bit more onto your paper. So I'll show you what I mean. But that means that on the ends of each of these, I would like a little bit of green right down at the base. And this is where you get to really play. So then you go over, and the nice thing with these flowers are that you don't have to have it perfect. They're flowers. And so no flower is the same as another. Okay, so from here, you can stamp your set aside, and now you're gonna want your die set. And I'm gonna cut this in half because I'm just using our little one. So it needs to be a little bit narrower rather than having it run through the automatic. You don't by any chance know where our together. They do this a lot with their flowers. So then that way you're not trying to lay down three individual, or try when it's the smaller flowers, you have somewhere along the lines of, with the petite flowers, I think there's like 20 of them.
Wow.
So
say hi to Kim and Annette.
Hi Kim, hi Annette. And what I also like is they've put the detail in the stamp so that the die is just normally an outer edge. It's not fussy, but it turns out beautiful.
Kim says, can you color with the shimmer paste that we saw last night on What's New Wednesday? Debbie? What?
The shimmer paste, is that the wax coloring?
Can they use that to color their flowers? Oh, of course. You can use it for anything. Debbie says, yes, you can use it for anything.
So guess what? Somebody, I know that there are a couple people that ordered this bundle, and I believe that they are going out today. I believe. I don't want to misspeak, but I put them together and they were ready to go for Kat. So, and I know that she was pulling store orders. So yay. Now I'm going to tell you, it's not really a story, but it's more of, I am not a huge Calla Lily fan. Really, I'm not in real life. I find that the white ones at Easter are beautiful. I also find that I sneeze a lot. and they look elegant, but they just, I don't know, they just didn't hit my fancy. But I love the swans in this pack. And so I bought the swans, and then I bought the paper, and then I bought the dies and the stamps. And then I went, well, that's silly. Since I have everything else, why not do the flowers? Just because I don't really like Calla Lilies. So I had actually told Bryce and Debbie that I wasn't buying this one. Yeah, Debbie asked if I wanted to try to do this one for you guys. And I said, sure, I can do it. She said, okay, let me get you the things to do it with. And I said, oh no, I have them all at home already. So it actually was quite satisfying doing these, especially because I wasn't sure how much fun I was going to have. But they're gorgeous, and they turn out just so pretty. It's pretty amazing. Okay, I'm going to set this aside for when we do the foam, but I'm going to go back to inking for right now. And I won't be using the stamps anymore. This was just kind of a way to see what we were doing. Okay, so I've got this nice bright green down here. And where'd my other green go? And I think you can see that the green kind of goes all the way around. But what I really want to do is get my dauber in there. You know, there are scissors around, but it inevitably always happens. It's like, oh, hey, this is here. Okay. So I'm taking my blender and I'm using the silicone one just because it guarantees that I'm going to get a little bit and I can clean it right off and not have to worry about my ink. I can just wipe it off with a baby wipe and I'll be done with that ink. And then remember, I told you that the back sides of these are going to be also showing. So we want to create areas for that. How is it that I can keep track of everything until I go on camera, and then I go on camera and I can't find anything?
Look to your left.
No, that doesn't work. I'm left-handed, so everything goes to my right typically. It's around here somewhere, I'm sure. Now, I want to remind you that you'll get a totally different look, and I was hoping to get some time to show you, and maybe I'll just post them up on Facebook or show you next week, that you can also do these with embossing powders. So your ink is your embossing powder for all of these lines when you're doing your stamping, and then from there you've got other you've got some colors that go in, but you can use clear, which will keep it clear around where your veining is. Since these are already this color, I'm not going to put it everywhere, but I am just going to kind of daub them. Anyways, if you use your embossing powder, you will have you'll have some great outcomes with it as well. I just dab and tap, and it will slowly start to fill up. Again, nature is never, it's symmetrical where it needs to be in shape, but coloring, think about coloring. These leaves I saw Heartfelt use as, and I'm not going to say the right plant, but they use some with with purple down the middles with a little yellow strip in between and the green on the edges. And I know it's a variegated plant. It's a shade plant. I can see it vividly. I just can't tell you what the name of it is. And they usually get put in with other they usually get put in with flowers, like as a backup one in some of the baskets. Anyways, don't know if I'm going to ever come up with the name, but you never know. Might surprise me. Okay, this one's really dark. This one is the...
hostas?
No, but they do look like hostas, but that wasn't what I was thinking of. They're a smaller leafed plant. But yes, somewhere along those lines. So this is moss, and if you can see right there, it comes out pretty dark. So we'll only want to put it in a few places, and then we'll blend it out. With some of the brighter color. So when my mom tells me, I can't do those. I don't like stamping. I don't do really well with stamping. And I believe her. It stresses her out. She's always worried about if the colors are wrong or right. But this is almost kind of like finger painting. Now, I say that, but I'm going to tell you right now, my mom does not like finger painting. Not for the reasons that you might think of, but she doesn't like the mess. And she doesn't want to have it feel icky on her fingers. So this, you at least get something different with it. And I'm going to show you how to wrap them. and how to join them together. Then that way you can see what we did without it being that you're having to wait for things to dry or things aren't going to look quite right. So in this particular one, I liked the yellow with the purple, but it's the smallest one, and so I don't want to do it on the smallest. It just is too big. So what you're going to do, and I have these, they're little alligator clips that I found a while ago, and I thought, what am I ever going to use these for? But they're going to come in handy one day. And this is when they come in handy.
Today's the day.
Today is the day. Technically, last night was the night. Yeah. So you want to think about what a lily looks like. And so
you're just putting a tiny dab of
just
glue,
a tiny bit of hot glue at the base. Nowhere else. You don't need it anywhere else. You fold it together and you alligator clip it, or tweezers, or whatever it is that you're going to use. Yeah, binder clip. So when you have one, I'm going to just show you on one of these. When you have one, you're going to want to maybe, if you need something turned a little bit more, you can either use the outside to turn, your tweezers to turn, and you want to have it already have a little bit of formation with that line in there. And then you can tip your tips back a little bit if you want. But the more of a curl you have around, the mold already kind of naturally makes it. But when you have it almost like you're folding up an airplane, that's about right to get this kind of a look. And this still has the alligator clip on it, but you'll see it works all the same. I just left my pieces just like that and set them aside. And by the time that I was done making my 6 of each color, I could unclip the alligator clips. The hot glue was done and I didn't have to worry about it. So on this one, I'm going to show you a different way to fold. And it's for making some of these little tiny guys. There you go. So it's got little tiny ones. I haven't actually put these together yet because this was the ones that I wanted to show you. So the little ones, you can see it. Yep, perfect. One tucks in and the other one kind of rolls out. It's when it's fresh, right? A new little bud. And so with those, you want to take your turning stylus, and you can use anything really that tapers. So your pokey tool will also do the same kind of a trick. And this is where it's important for the backs that you're going to see. So we're going to put it right in there and we're going to turn it inwards instead of outwards. And this you have to manually do it's not part of the roll in the mold. So it's a little bit different. Now I noticed when Heartfelt did theirs, I felt like it was too flat, and it looked like they had been pressed lilies instead of lilies. So I think part of it is that the taper should go narrow at the bottom, and I did mine at a little bit of an angle compared to the line. And then this gets set in like there. So just kind of tip it in to the bud where the tight curl is. And then before you ever glue, you're going to want to take your paper and you're going to want to bend this one back the other way, because right here they have to fold in together and you don't want them to rip one side versus the other. So right there is where we want it to be with the glue, hot glue. Oh, guys, and remember to use the clear versus the opaque glue, because you don't want to see these in your, you really don't want to have to see that glue when you're trying to make them. Okay, so I pinched and then I roll this down now that it's a little bit cooler, but it's still movable. And then I take it even further over like that. I liked how that looked, and it just takes another little tiny bit of glue and it works really well. So it is 2 moves that you've got to make, but I like it better than the flat ones. Like so. So there's your little one when you're done. So you've got the turned in one, the other one turns out, but it's got to almost turn in and then turn out, if that makes sense. Yes, you do sometimes have to play with the plates. Okay, so there is, now this one's medium, but you do the exact same thing for the large ones. You just pinch them there and then put the glue and you're done. So these are the different types that we have. And so I tried to think of different ways that I could make things out of these. So I'm going to set these ones aside for right now. I'm going to pull this in and I'm going to show you how to put these together so that they can go on your card. So first, just to make it quick and easy, I went ahead and I did all the stuff ahead of time. It's a 7x7 card. It's got the purples and pinks and whites with a little bit of lace here along the top. Looks like that. And what I did was I cut a 4.5 inch square out of it. And I've kind of made what would be a little cone shape. I remember doing these as these were kind of like the May basket things that I would do. It wasn't really a basket, but I remember doing these as a kid and thinking that it was so much fun. So you just take and you make your cone out of it this way first. So it's here, inside, here on the outside. And then you just turn them back so that you can get all your lilies in there. So because it's handy and because it is faster, I am just going to take a little bit of glue, rub it right along here and on the inside of that one. Lay it on in there so that it will hold it. Holds it quite nicely. You can decide how 3D you want this to be. I took and I cut out a little just for you, and it's on the little bit of leathery feeling twine that we have that Debbie's used in the past with you guys. I want to show you really quickly because I forgot to cover this. You have the ability to put these onto a wire, and I'm looking and I'm not seeing my stuff that I thought that I brought over here. Okay. So what you want to do is you put a hole right there at the bottom of the stem, and you slide your floral wire up in through the hole, and then I hot glued it on the other side and just clipped it on in there. Yes, it's floral wire. And then on the front, I hot glued the wire onto the stem, and it actually really helped it because it made the stem look even darker. So I liked how it turned out. And I'm looking for the floral wrapping, but somehow it did not make it. It might not have made it from my house. So that makes this even better because it doesn't require the floral wiring. Okay, so I'm going to decide which way I want these to sit. So here's my little envelope. I need to make sure that I've got it where you guys can see because I keep moving out of your way. So I'm going to tuck one here, and I'm going to tuck one in here. And then we'll tuck in another one here. And then you have to start deciding, okay, what is it that's going to look the best? So I think I want them to kind of sit in like this. And then I think I'm going to put my little bud down there below. And then I'm going to put in my leaf. Now the leaves are separate because they grow on a separate portion of the plant, and so they don't actually grow on the stems with the flowers. So now I have an approximate of where I want everything, and I'm just going to take those, and normally if I had the wire wrapper, I would take it at this point in time, and once I got all of my pieces together, you twist all your wires. Yes, Irene, thumbs up, please. And no class on Saturday. So the white wires, are from the stamen. They come with it in the bundle. What doesn't come in the bundle is floral tape. And that is how I did the ends of every single one of these. I used floral tape, and I could have sworn that I grabbed it out of the house, but I must not have. So I think about it in doing this like I would do a boutonniere. I mean, why not? And so you just kind of get it to where you want it to lay, what makes it look the most natural for you. And then normally I would take my floral tape, wrap it around here, and then just quickly start way up here and wind it around on your turning stylus, and then get smaller to smaller, and then you'll get that beautiful little curly cue that we have on some of these at the very end. So in this particular case, though, I've made a little basket for it. So I'm just going to take my hot glue gun after I've twisted so that they stay together. I'm going to slide them right into here. And in reality, because they're all twisted together, all I have to do really is make sure that I get a little bit on the back leaf. So really quick, really easy on the back leaf. And if I didn't like how my items were already laying in my little holder, then I probably would be gluing them a little bit. But I think that they have the ability to kind of move. And so if anyone, I think that I might just tack it right there just to keep it from seeing the wire. Just kind of hold it down for a second. Oh, not enough of a dab to do ya. There we go. Hot glue gun. It always ends up everywhere, doesn't it? Okay. So I'm going to take my little just for you. And I think I'm going to set it off to the side really quick. I want to tie it around here, but I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. Okay. Haha. Wrap it around. I'm going to slide it on up. Now that I've wrapped it around a few times, slide it to where I want it to be. Put a little bit of hot glue on the back. Hopefully you guys can see this. Okay, so I've put it on the back. Now I'm going to take it, and this is where a glass mat works really great because it solidifies the hot glue, and I've got a flat place for it to lay. So I now have that all the way up. I think I'm going to go ahead and attach just a little tatted glue right under there. Isn't it always wonderful, all the hot glue pieces? Yes. Nosegay holder. Yes, exactly. Thank you for the reminder. Yeah, isn't that just so pretty? So now I'm just going to take it, and I use the decorative oval from Heartfelt, and I've got my Nuvo glue today because that's what was handy. And I think what we're going to do is I'm just going to keep going as far as I'll just keep going with the rest of showing you how to do foam, and we'll just attach it in a separate video right now after we're done. If you guys want to stay and watch, you can. If not, then you can always sign off and you can watch it later. But I do want to show you the foam because it is such a fun thing.
One extra of this one. We do. Okay, okay.
So any questions that you might have, I just want to make sure that I address those for anybody that I know that it is about time to go. And I don't want to not answer your questions. And if you, like I said, if you want to stay, I'm just going to keep going, and I'm going to put the foam ones together and show you how to do it. And you can always watch it later. It will be on YouTube at the end of this video. So don't look for a separate one for foam because you won't find it. It will just be part of this video at the end. So now I've got my decorative oval on there, upside down, decorative oval. And then I'm just going to take and put this right in here like that and glue that little guy on. Isn't that pretty? And I wish that I could get you further back, but I can't man the camera and do this. So any questions? I am just going to take advantage of my hot glue gun, and I'm just going to put glue right on there. Hey Bryce, can we go back a little bit on the camera? I know you're working with Debbie on something, but it's really hard to fit such a big card in a little space. Okay, thank you. So this is that. this is that card we just made. Look at that. Isn't that so pretty? So now you know how to set your flowers. You just find your spots where you want it to look the best. I encourage you to grab your glitter, one like this, or you can do your fine line, sprinkle some glitter on. What I told them is that we're just going to know and recognize that this is about the time that we would normally get off, but I'm just going to go ahead and do the foam, so then that way they can come back to it later when they have the chance.
Okay.
So rather than trying to continue, because I think that it deserves to be seen, because it is a really cool and neat thing. Okay.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
I have to keep these piles separate because I have to pull these out of the store, which will make Debbie very happy. I mean, it will make her happy. She really wants the whole setup here. So slowly, as we need them, I'll pull the setup. Okay. So for the foam, first things first, I'm going to take, and I like the white ones, but I want to do this one a little differently just because we don't use the stamps with these. You can use the stamps with these. Oh, yes, glitter. Yeah, I'll probably put glitter on it by the time I get home. Okay, so with these, I've pulled a couple of peaches. I've got the natural linen from Graphic 45 and the peachy pink from Graphic 45. And then I have the dried marigold and the kitsch flamingo. I thought that that's what I was reading, but I thought, no, that can't possibly be it. And then I also have fossilized amber. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use this yet. We're going to see how the Graphic 45 linen comes out. So I'm actually going to start this on my foam just directly. I'm going to see what it turns out like here on a corner. Oh, look at that. Perfect. All right, have at it. You're just going to take your foam and put it on both the front and the back. I don't think that it will go any higher than that. And go ahead and turn it over. Do the same. And maybe on the inside, we'll make it a little bit brighter and keep it a little bit more subdued on the back. So I was hoping that this is what the color would be for the natural linen, knowing Graphic 45. It's great. Absolutely great. Take a little bit of water because it is water soluble. And make a mess.
Get your finger painting on.
Yep, getting my finger paint on. If I felt like I could get this clean in time, maybe I'll try this.
Thelma says she's been quiet tonight, but wanted to tell Margie you did an excellent job.
Thank you guys. That's very sweet. I'm going to use this, and I'm gonna just give this a good try. This is the peachy pink from Graphic 45. And if you remember right from our items that we already had on here, they've created this darker space in the bottom, and then the outer sections are darker too, and then the inside's light. So we're gonna go into a couple of lighter ones. This one is the Distress Oxide, and this one's the Dried Marigold. And because they're both orange, I'm just gonna take the risk and say, yeah, this is what I wanna do. Oh, look it. That's gonna be so pretty. So you can absolutely do this with your foam. It does not, so far, I have not had my foam when I've used ink. It doesn't rub off. So I haven't had the experience of it doing that, but I can't say for positive that it might not rub off. So I just want to put that disclaimer out there. And then everybody's got to have a little pink in their lives, right? This one I might try with this. I'm just putting it along one edge. I'm not putting it on both. And the reason why I'm not making tons of these is because I already made some of these earlier, but I wanted to show you how you ink them. And then I'm going to come, I'm going to do it on the other side as well, just because I want to make sure that I've got that opportunity. Give it a little bit to dry. I love mixed media. It is one of the things that I have done the most. Oh, here. We're going to use that on the back because I just made a giant mistake. Okay. Let's try this again with the right colors in the right places. I forgot to flip my die over to give me the outline.
Oops.
So that's okay. We'll just start it again. And the other ones will just be sitting on there, ready to go. Okay. There's my peach on top of my linen. Marigold blending in. It's amazing how this stuff comes on. So most of my crafting had been mixed media prior to knowing Debbie. So that's kind of how I did things. I worked on big projects like creating tables and walls, and so that was kind of my thing. Okay, let's see. Put some of the pink back in there. And the reason why I'm putting in the tan is because I just happen to have some ivory foam at home, and so I used that and inked on that, but I wasn't sure which colors that we were going to have, so I wanted to make sure that I kind of started with just the general basics of things that I knew that we had in the store. I'll have to rub that when we're done because Debbie needs it for the class tomorrow evening.
Cover up your peach stamp before you get your fingers in it, or your elbows.
Oh, you mean my shirt? The shirt that has the big baggy sleeves on it. Look at this, guys. Not a good choice. Didn't even think about it until I'm starting to lay things out for the class and went, oh, well, that was just silly.
We could have got Debbie's new staple gun out.
You're so funny. Okay. Now, when you're doing foam, first off, we want to put the die and cut that first. So you're going to make them individual, and unlike the C plate, I think it was the C plate. Unlike the jumping ahead, unlike with the paper, you have a little bit more freedom with the colors because they don't really have a heavy duty. They don't have a very heavy dutiness to them, so I tend to not like to make the lines with the stamps. In fact, Debbie knows that I try and avoid the stamp lines on a lot of them, but this one it works well with, just because of the kind of flower that we're talking about. Hopefully that will work without the 10 being in there, because the foam is a lot thinner than the paper. Yep.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Okay, so now...
Do you have to spray the foam again before you put it in the mold?
No. In fact, we're going to do something... I'm skipping a part. Let's see if I can remember this. Thank you for asking there, Bryce. So what you do with foam is different than what you do for anything else. You add heat to it. And I just want to clip the very bottom to keep it flat. But from there, start out further away until you know kind of how it's going to react. How hot your embossing gun is will just depend on how quickly it curls compared to when it doesn't. And there it went. So, we'll take that off. And while it's still warm, put it upside down. And I'm just going to kind of hold it in there for a minute before I start my next one. Because I don't want them to completely... Here. I don't want them to completely keep that tight circle. If you look at these, some of them are tighter than others. So this one looks more like a bud. Once you heat it up, it will go back to its same shape. And I noticed that somebody had said you can just tweezer them or pull them around, but they really, once the heat is gone, it doesn't set as well. So you're going to see here in a minute that I'm going to take advantage of the heat here in the actual mold, because I tried it with the mold just to see if it was going to do what I hoped that it was going to be. Debbie's gun is one. I've got one similar. I have one at home that has a two temperature settings, and so that helps a lot so that you don't go too far. And again, I'm just going to hold it down so that I don't get too much going at once. And then here's my last little one. Okay, so what we're going to try and do is just kind of hold them into the molds, keeping them I don't think I can keep that one there. So it may blow a little bit. I'll do my best. I just want to get a little bit of heat back on them again to send them through the mold. That's it. That's all that I'm looking for. Yep. Okay, so you saw me quickly put them in the mold. Go like that. Run them on through. And it feels like a flower.
It truly does.
Bryce asked me, he says, "Is that real?" So
they look that way.
They do. They have a look that really makes them seem like it might be a real flower. Okay, so I am going to take, and now that it's done, I'm just going to take and run that peachy, that really bright peachy color around the whole thing, just on the edge, because as it bends and folds, and these I had left a little bit more open. You can just truly, I have some that that I did earlier, and I'll show them to you, and I just let them totally go through and let them curl how they wanted to curl. So they're not as open as these, but I needed some open ones with what I'm doing, so I figured might as well show you this. The other ones are just basically straight, let it curl, no mold. I didn't run them through the mold. I just went through and attached them. So they curled up really quick and did a beautiful job. And I went through and I just did the bottom. So I'm going to show you how I did those. But because of that, this is how they stay. So if you want them more open, you can leave them on your stamen and you can curl them back, but it's not going to stay if you don't set it with some heat. So here I can curl it back, but it's got consider it memory foam. Memory foam for the crafter, because I can sit here and hold this forever and open it back up and it's going to go back together. So you can do one of two things. You can try it with tweezers. I don't think that tweezers seem to work as well. I can take my alligator clip, put it on the outside, and then hit it with a little bit of heat, and it will still curl, because that's kind of what it does. It's made to curl. But now that I've just put just a little bit of heat, it will hold its shape much better. So they're just fun to play with, guys. No kidding. But if you can just remember that the heat is what seals it in. So if you don't like what it looks like and you want to reshape it,
just warm it up.
Just warm it up, and then you'll have this really pretty piece. So it's the same kind of a concept with the last ones. Have some stamens.
So you used your hot glue even with the foam.
Yeah.
Didn't melt your foam flowers.
Nope. It did not at all. This foam is pretty amazing stuff. Okay. In fact, I liked how it bunched down at the bottom better. I didn't have to fight it to make a budding one. I could just pop it right in there at the bottom. And the foam does shrink. So I will say that. Just know that your flowers will be less flowers.
They'll be petite flowers.
Yeah. So you'll have to make a few extras, but I don't think that that's really what we're worried about when we're looking at. So I put it on my clip. Same thing with this one. I don't think, yeah. I still don't know where that floral tape went off to. So I have taken this and I can literally just wind it right around that wire, something that you don't have the opportunity to do with the paper, because the paper is a little bit more fragile because it is paper, even though I spray it with water. It still can do a little bit of cracking. Okay, and I'm going to want to open that back up, so I'm going to run the heat gun on it again, because we just need some of them that are more open. See, it will pop right back. That's why you know that it's the way that it is. And this one, we can let it go this way. So you can even do it this way. And it does not take much once your gun is heated up. And since it's still warm, I'm going to just pull that right this direction still, and it should do what you want it to do. Hopefully I didn't send it back too far and you couldn't see it on camera.
There you are. It says these would make wonderful additions to 3D projects like mini albums and shadow boxes.
Exactly. That's why I made the big one that's 7 by 7, because you can put this in a shadow box, put Happy Mother's Day right here, and you've got a beautiful piece of art to go on your mom's wall. In my case, my mom's wall. There's lots of different ways that you can do it. I'm getting strings off of my hot glue gun. Okay. So this one, remember we talked about that they roll up really tight and you roll one end over and then leave one that's just kind of pinched for a bud. Well, in this particular case, we can do that here, and I will do it just so that you can see it, but that's kind of how they do it naturally. So with the foam, when you hit the heat, it naturally tends to curl them up. So you have a lot more buds than you do open ones. So you have to be intentional about opening up your pieces. So like this one, I'm going to flip it over so that I've got an open one so that we can put it in the next card. And man, I really love this. I'd done the foam before, and both Debbie and I, we kind of looked at it and went, well, that's not what we would have expected to have happen. And it's because I wasn't doing the heat part. I'd missed somewhere in the directions that it has a heat part. So there's my one twirl over, and then there's my other one. More like a small bud. And I will say that this is 10 times easier with that fine, super fine nozzle on the glue guns. I'm so glad that I bought it. I thought, well, I've already got glue guns. No, it definitely makes a big difference. Okay, so while those little guys harden up, I'm going to set them all aside. This one I might need to heat up. We'll see. We'll see if we need some more filler. Okay, so this is sorry guys, bear with me. I pulled it out because I wanted to make sure that I showed you guys what it looked like instead of rough on my, oh, here we go. I set it up front because it was going to be the last thing that I did. Okay, so on this one, I use this as my background. It's the Scallop Flourish Gateway card. And here, they even will sell you the 5x7s of it. So it means that you can run, you can see from their picture, you can run this through and have what looks to be like a gate at your front door, and then build your flowers on top of it. So now you've got this really pretty background to do your flowers on. So maybe you don't know what to say, and you know, you have this goal in mind that you want the flowers to shine, right? So let them shine on this pretty little background.
Right.
And it works the same with the oval. That's why we did the decorative oval. And I knew that many of you had it. So when you are looking at heartfelt things and you're liking them, then you can totally look in there, and they've got all different shapes of cards that can go anything from using them in albums, but it also makes great foundations for all of your flowers. So this is the one. They've got a few other gates. They're not all the same, but they will all fit onto their gateway card. So this is their gateway card. It comes like this. So you open it up, and you've got one here, and then you pull this forward and you've got one here. Well, I decided I wanted it to be different. So this goes in here, and I make it like a typical gate fold where they both go into the same space. That's great. Alrighty, so we're gonna start at the back end just because I don't want to put the flowers on here and then not somehow crush them or make them messy or something along the way. Now, what I did was I used every piece of the gateway dies on a piece of white cardstock. So when I ran all the dies, I ran them all at once on one piece of paper. And then I had to run the liner dies onto the papers that I wanted to fit into these places. So I'm putting my first scene in. Now this came out of the paper pad. It is beautiful. And I'm just going to add the scallop around the edge. And I decided I didn't want to color it. I could have totally have used the various different colors because we can use it as an inking. I had to trim down the liners a little bit so that they would fit inside the fold. Otherwise, if you make them too big, and I just had to clip on both sides because they're made for the gateway, this bigger one, this bigger arch with the scallops going inward like a postage stamp almost. It's the biggest one on the die. So here's my messy version of my gateway card. So from the very get-go, you've got an outer section to be able to cut with, and then you've got a scallop section. And so I used both the scallop on the front and then the inside of the scallop right here as an open hole. Then you've got another line for cutting, and then you have your final one with all of the gate pieces. So I basically just went through and thought about it as you would cutting all your pieces. And I didn't have to cut any extra pieces. They all cut out in the first card set. So the only pieces that I had to cut were these. And so I was borrowing the same die again. And I recommend that you glitter these up as much as possible because this is a pretty fancy card. So getting in there with your stickles and doing some work on the lake or on the house will make it look even prettier and more special. There you go. Pretty little piece. And again, I could have colored it, but I really wanted it to stay elegant, and I thought that keeping it white would really make the flowers and the pieces within it just seem really bright and have the colors that are on the paper pad. Let those shine. You may decide that you want to paint yours. And on the outside, I have thought about it, actually. I did think about it for the outer one quite strongly. In fact, I was going to ask everybody's opinion, but I really think that I just want to do it this way. So another one of those that I had to cut out separately. But again, everything else went through with one cut of the gateway on white cardstock. I did not have to cut any more white. None whatsoever. I took something that was fairly light in color because these are white and very pale colors that are over here. And so I didn't want it to, I'm used to doing it backwards for you guys. I didn't want anything that seemed to be too busy because the gate itself is going to give you some see, isn't that pretty? You can see the peaches and the greens and everything in it. See, this is my testing of the gate. I was actually testing out one of the colors when I was getting ready, and it was the closest thing I had. I figured it's the back side of the paper. It won't be a big deal. I just was worried that that might be a little bit too bright for what I was doing with the flowers. Now, somebody else may want to go through and do all those lines. And probably if I was at home, I would go through and probably do those lines. But under the circumstances, we're just going to go with this. And here's our last piece, and then we'll start building those foam ones. And hopefully, if you weren't able to see everything when I put them together the last time, hopefully this time we can. Bryce, can you just do me a huge favor and look inside my pink carry case or my clear carry case and see if there's some floral tape in there? You would see it. I don't think there's no, it would be just right.
Would it be on this one?
Yeah, it could be. No, floral tape. I had brought some, I thought. Oh, great. Okay. I knew that we had some in the store. Oh, yay. Okay. That makes me feel better. Okay, so here's the basic card. So, got our gate. Open up and we get our pretty swan, stickles and glitter. And in the Feathery Swan inspiration card, I put little tiny pearls in each of the calla lilies, and they're so tiny. I think that they will go very nicely inside each one of these. On this one, I ran a little bit of Stickles gold glue where the little stamen are. So that's another way to dress this page up a little bit. And then here you've got your inside with whatever you want to say right here. And I thought with the cute little love swans down there at the bottom that it would make a really nice on your special day card. Okay. So I'm going to set that right up here. And now I'm going to grab all of my foam ones. There are so many of these. They crawl out of the woodwork. It's amazing. I really did have a lot of fun making these, like a lot of fun making these. So these are all paper, and I may need to have some of these to be filler for the foam ones, but I'd like to just try it with just the foam ones to begin with. So you start your base out with your bigger ones first, and just kind of get an idea of how you want them to lay. And I'm not kidding, thinking of them as a nosegay, boutonniere, corsage, whatever way that you want to call it. If you've done flowers before, that's a great way to think about it. Now remember, I want to do this, but it's not going to stay this way, and it will fight you just as soon as you flip them back up. So if I want to have a different piece, then I'll need to flip it over and reset. And this is a nice place to have a lot of buds anyways, because it is such a stay there. Okay, now I'm going to take and I'm going to, so I've laid it out in the arrangement that I think will work. You're now going to just take each one of these. It's okay if they move because now you can reset them. But you want to try and keep a nice tight hold and don't pick up off of your table or space until you get all of them. As I say that and don't get one, but I at least knew where it was going. Okay, so now I've got all of these little pieces right here, and I'm just going to twist them all together so nicely, beautifully. Floral tape and I do not necessarily think that we like each other. Just gonna, it's like packaging tape. Bryce knows I am not the best packaging taper. I do the best that I can, but man, it sticks everywhere. Other people, they have no problem. Even with the amount of time that I have done mail here, you would think that I'd have it down pat, but I do not. Kat has a great packaging tape technique, and it has definitely made it easier. Now, I could have gone through and wired all of my white wires green, but I'm not going to because the wires are going to be hidden on the card. Number one, it's a white card, but number two, I'm keeping it full so that it's not going to show off the wiring. Okay, so all right, I like your wiring tape there, Debbie. It has my approval. Now you could choose in this moment to grab a hold of this and taper it around. That's how I was able to get the one that I had earlier. but you can also just decide, I want it this way, or I want it that way. And what I did not do, but I thought about it a lot, was I think that I want more trindles in here as well, like a little bit more greenery spots that are just curly cues. And I totally spaced it because these go in here. I think maybe there. So because I forgot my leaves, technically my tape will need to be redone, but for time consideration, I'm going to put it like this, and you guys will have and know exactly what it is that I mean. Careful. Okay, so now you're just going to lay it on out. I may decide I want another leaf up there on the top. This one twisted around a little bit. So, and again, because it already sits in the foam shape that it has, guess what? You don't have to be too gentle with these. They really do handle. They're not going to crush. They're not going to, they'll just pop right back. That's the best way that I can explain it. They'll just pop right back. Thank you, Bryce, for sticking with me. Okay, there we have it. It's really pretty. And I am going to take some of the flower, the Calla Lily flowers from our feathery swan as well, and just kind of tuck them in and away in spots that are behind it. So I think I want one back here, and I want one over here. This will also help fill it up in spaces. I think we'll put the other one right along in there. So the foamies fit really nice into this little section because these are already, I'd already pre-done them for doing the molding with your stylus ball. And I will say the one that I just held up there is too big for this work. It took a smaller one. And this one is going to say Happy Easter on it, because I think this is a great Easter card. Or again, I think that I said a wedding card on your special day. So you've got lots of neat things that you can use this for. I realized after I said that I was going to make one a Mother's Day card on my last card set, I changed my mind by the time that I got the stickers on, because that and the pictures got out to you guys. Yeah, it didn't say Happy Mother's Day. It said something else. Blessings. I think that's what I found, was blessings. And I thought,
that works for moms.
That does work for moms. But I liked it better because it was the little kids hugging the bunny rabbit. And my kids, grandkids, they're all blessings. So that's how I think about it. Okie dokie. Well, no turning back now because the hot glue is going on.
Mary says, this is a beautiful corsage.
Yeah, you could probably take it and give it to somebody and then let them know that they can wear it. It will stand up to it. I really do believe that it will stand up to it. I've had foam flowers that I've done that I've sat on them. You guys know I don't always pay attention to where things are. One of Debbie's favorites was the video that I said, yeah, I ran right over it with my car, picked it up, and then promptly dropped it and stepped on it. She thought that was the best thing ever. Don't know why, but she thought it was funny. I was kind of bemoaning it, however. Okay. And there we have it. Isn't that so pretty?
Closer so I can really see it.
And I will need to clean this up, but just for sake of timing, because I forgot the leaves, I could have probably just glued them on, but
very pretty.
So I think that you can use them anywhere. I think that you can use them for your media. I personally think that you can use them for corsages. The paper ones, I wouldn't recommend it. But the foam ones, they're going to stand the time. I really do. So I hope that you enjoyed this because this is the first time that I think that we've really let foam flowers shine. So this is what you get. And that was just plain white foam not that long ago.
Yep.
All right.
Gorgeous.
Thank you guys. Have a great night. Unless Debbie hands me something else and says it needs to be done right away, we should be looking at some of the other things that we were talking about, like by throwing maybe a card that hasn't been completed from over the years. So thank you very much. Have a great rest of your evening. Thanks for sticking with me and watching this. I really appreciate it. Have a good night.